Mindfulness for Resilience with Mary Jo Federle, funded by the Craig H. Nielsen Foundation and brought to you by SCI&U for Healthy Living.
Welcome everyone to Mary Jo's live mindfulness session today. It's my pleasure to introduce Mary Jo. Mary Jo has been practicing mindfulness for many years, and there's a number of us that are on here today that she kind of got us going with it, and I know I'm really enjoying it, and it's helped me a lot in a lot of different ways, and I really love learning more about what Mary Jo has to teach. She's very knowledgeable, and she has a very calming and a nice way of presenting this information that I hope you enjoy as much as I do. All yours, Mary Jo.
Awesome. Thanks, Paul. Hi, everybody, and welcome. Really glad that you showed up today. And I'm not going to talk too much about mindfulness. I'm going to start us off with moving right into a practice in a few minutes, because I'm hoping that we can start to make this regular, and you can learn to go to the YouTube channel to get your practice and choose the week that you want to do and keep it up daily. So I think we'll start right off and go right into our session. Before we begin, let's get really comfortable where you're sitting and find a place that you can just allow yourself to totally relax. Maybe bring your shoulders up, take your upper arm bones back, and let your arms just relax down. And then the next thing I'm going to have you do is bring your hands together and rub them briskly, if you're able to, and then place them right on your eyes. And Paul, you'll have to take your glasses off. So give yourself a few minutes to do that. And notice the deepening that happens when you let your eyes be just gently covered by the base of your hand, and keeping that gentle pressure there, and then release your hands onto your lap and keeping your eyes closed. And then allow yourself to tune into that space that you're occupying behind your eyes. Allow yourself to have the breath move in a nice, beautiful, big inhale, and a relaxing and a releasing exhale. And we'll do that again. Inhale. Fill the lungs, fill the upper chest, fill the back chest. Exhaling, releasing. And repeat that again on your own time. Filling the lungs on the inhale and releasing and relaxing the exhale. Good. And then allow your breath to return to its natural rhythm. And now check in, and just check in with how you are right now. All of you, just take a moment to notice your mental state. Notice your emotional state, your feeling state. And without changing or having to judge any of those observances, allow yourself to take it all in with kind curiosity, like you're attending to all of the different nuances of your being, your sensory body, your emotional body, your mental body. And allowing yourself to feel the breath as it moves in now. Notice the expansion on the inhale. Notice the releasing on the exhale. And as you do so, I invite you to invite relaxation into any area where you feel there's tension or where you want to release. And just breathe in, feeling the expansion, and breathe out, feeling a release. Keep allowing yourself to let the breath be natural, but at the same time observing it, observing the expansion and the release as you give your weight over to gravity, letting your body deepen, perhaps feeling the support of the chair behind you and beneath you. Noticing the sensations in your body. Can you notice vibration? Can you notice tingling? And perhaps you notice the flicker of light behind your closed eyes. And with that awareness, just allowing the outer corners of the eyes to soften, the space between the brow to release, the forehead to be smooth, soft up toward the hairline, kind of spreading like butter, this wave of relaxation. You may even feel the brain soften and release away from the skull, allowing thoughts to just really dissipate, just like they would if you were down beneath the ocean right now, looking up at the movement of thoughts, like the flicker of light on the surface of water. And just like you would be if you were down at the bottom of the ocean, so deep and relaxed, looking up, noticing that the movement of thoughts is always happening. The thoughts are always changing. But down here, where you breathe deep, where you feel the weight of your body, you can feel that constancy, that stability of your own deep essential self that's unchanging. Not like the circumstances or the thoughts way up there on the surface. Moving thoughts, moving sensations, and feeling into the aliveness of your being as you breathe. Noting that movement is life. And that as those thoughts move, they're just moving along with life. And don't get attached to them, allow them to move. And in this pause, noticing where you are right now, mentally, emotionally, coming back to your breath to bring you into the pause of presence, where you're attending the moment-to-moment awareness with real kind observation. And as we begin to draw toward a close, allowing yourself to tune in for the last few minutes with all the sensations in your body, noticing heaviness and lightness, contraction and release, stability or a little sense of nervousness perhaps. All of the opposites that you can hold together with kind observation. and a very benign sense of curiosity for all that is, all the aliveness that's moving through you. And in a moment, you'll hear the chime to signal our time to come out. And before you come out, we're going to again rub the hands together. Bringing them together into a brisk rub and placing them on your eyes gently. And if you're unable to put the hands there, rub them together. Just imagine a deep midnight blue color behind your eyes. Breathing in and feeling into your relaxed state of being and into the place of total acceptance for what is right now as you come back into the room. Sometimes when we finish doing our mindfulness session, it's not very um, perhaps common to go right into questions and whatnot. And certainly we don't require you to ask questions or to even get mental and kind of into your head right now. You may just enjoy being in that very open state of awareness and kind observation. But in any case, you're welcome to, if you like, to ask questions or to put some comments in the chat. And knowing that this is a place for us to learn together, perhaps a new technique that may not be familiar to you. And there's always, in anything new, areas of of intrigue, and there are also maybe areas of of skepticism or fear even. And so I welcome you to just really openly explore those if they're there for you, and or if you have any other questions that you may want to ask.
I have a question, Mary Jo.
Sure.
I was wondering, for one, if you could give kind of an overview of how you see these sessions evolving over time, and if we will build, for example, towards longer sessions, or if there would be merit in doing that. That would be my first question. And I guess the second question I have is about if you're interrupted in the middle of a session, how would you suggest coping with that interruption?
Great questions. So the first question, yes, I would love to be able to increase the time that we do spend in mindfulness. Right now, we're just around 8 minutes, 7.5 to 8 minutes or so. And ideally, it doesn't have to be long, for one thing. I mean, it could be 2 minutes, and you could do a reset and kind of feel, I think, the benefits from it. But the longer you do it, the more you're training the muscle of the brain and the mind to learn the technique. So like anything, the more you practice it, the better you get at it. So ideally, we would work toward 10 to 12 minutes, and we would also work toward a progression. So initially, as I introduce you to mindfulness, I'm introducing you to concepts about kind observation, concepts around open attention, concepts around tuning in to the sensory body and relaxation. And then as you become familiar with those concepts and better at accessing those aspects, then we're going to move a little bit more in toward breath. And breath is a really important component for mindfulness. And it is an important component for neuroplasticity, because when we can work with the breath and move the breath toward a more rhythmic state, we can often switch our nervous system from the from the sympathetic fight or flight and freeze toward the parasympathetic response. And that can be really instantaneous the better you get at learning how to deeply engage that breathing rhythm. So that would be the next. So we go from kind of the awareness of mindfulness toward cultivating different methodologies for learning how to be aware, sensory body aware. And then we move into learning how to relax progressively with the breath. And then we would take that further as we go, and that could be quite a few sessions. And then we sophisticate that perhaps even more by developing emotional intelligence with our mindfulness techniques. And so I see it, kind of moving on a trajectory that has, elements that build on themselves that are also unique and independent, but that collectively together create a more holistic experience of mindfulness.
I have more of an observation, not such a question, but we've never done the hands on the eyes before. And I just want to say that I found that very helpful. Just to get for the darkness. I think that's, and maybe it's because I'm always sitting in such a bright room, but that the darkness seemed to help me a lot. I don't know if anybody else felt the same way or, but yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah. Great comment. And so a lot of what I'm teaching you is all of it really is very well researched. And we know that the sympathetic brain responds very well to midnight blue and dark colors. And that helps to shift the nervous system from this sort of very kind of reactive place to a more receptive and relaxed state of being. So I'm glad you noticed it, and it's very much a technique that is part of mindfulness and also very well researched. So good going, and practice that one all week. Just use that technique throughout your week. Sonia had mentioned being interrupted. I'm not sure if I actually addressed that, so I will now. But that, being interrupted is jarring to the nervous system, whether it's, being interrupted, from a good thing, hi, honey, what are you doing? No matter what, or, God, you got to get out of here, whatever. Interruptions are jarring. So how do you unjar, and how do you be present if you're in mindfulness and you get interrupted? And the very thing that you would do is exactly that. You would either go to a deep breathing response by taking just a moment and going, okay, I'm with you in a sec. I just got to take a breath. Fill the lungs and just relax and exhale, and progressively exhale. Let your exhale out really slowly, or do that. And that will allow the nervous system to just go into an immediate reset. And then you can respond from that paused place with more clarity, more capacity to respond and not react. And you'll also feel better at the end of that interruption.
Yeah, there was a question about the impact of mindfulness on the brain. Do you think, could you speak to that?
Yeah, so I just finished reading a book that actually really blew my mind called The Way the Brain Heals. And it's written by a man, Dr. Norman Diogi. And even before that, I've always been really interested in this idea that that I've encountered through my my training in yoga and also in just my interest in somatic psychology, that if you had trauma, there's a way that you could actually reprogram that trauma and allow the body to not be reactive or in its state of fight, flight, or freeze when it encounters that similar traumatic situation. And I did a lot of that work myself after my injury because I had a traumatic spinal cord injury and brain injury. And so when I noticed it working in me, I became more and more intrigued by it from my perspective of the yoga backdoor. And of course, that led me into mindfulness and of course, meditation in a more in-depth way than I had studied it before. And now we have this great, sort of partner in mindfulness understanding, which is from neuroscience and neurophysiology and neuropsychology, for that matter, have all really calibrated and also, I think, substantiated and expanded the understanding of what these techniques can do in the brain. And not only have they expanded on it, but they've also been able to now map it and show it, because neurotechnology is so much better now, and imaging and those type of things are available to us. So we can see that these things and how they're affecting the brain. And we know that that neuroplasticity is a huge new area of neuroscience. It's been around for about the last 15 to 20 years, but it hasn't really been yet fully understood or developed to the capacity that it probably is available to us as humans. And so I think that we're at a really beautiful place and exciting place right now with these practices that are, considered the more Eastern practices of manual therapies or visualization and various different things in the mind-body continuum are being explored more scientifically. And so the marriage and the sort of the movement of the Eastern and the Western perspectives in this area, I think, is brilliant, and it will continue to unfold us into a very exciting area of neuroscience that is this whole area of neuroplasticity that is just starting to really to be understood and to be looked at in a very positive and progressive and exciting way. So I don't know if that answers the question, but pick up that book, and The Brain That Changes Itself is another good book. There's a lot of really good literature out right now. There's many good studies. So educate yourself. The more you know about it, the better.
So Casey also has a question, which I'll read from the chat. And I think you did touch on it in part, actually. The question is, what brought you to start practicing mindfulness?
That's a great question, Casey. It was the concussion. I suffered a really bad concussion. I fell out of my wheelchair and I had a really bad concussion. And prior to that, I had done a lot of meditation, but I couldn't meditate for the life of me. And my brain wasn't working very well. And it was really that I had done meditation before. So mindfulness and meditation are very close cousins, but I hadn't really practiced mindfulness to the way and the degree and the understanding that I did and have after that concussion. So that was the one that kind of tipped the scale for me to really look at this as an independent technique and as a technique that was kind of a gateway for meditation, but also in and of itself a very important technique. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, and Casey says thank you as well.
Yeah, you're so welcome. Thanks for the question. So I think if there's no more questions, we're going to stick to our time. And we are right on time today. We're at 12:30. And this was intended to really be for you to just do your mindfulness check-in and ideally be able to go to the YouTube channel, SCI&U. It should be in your link. and go back to that and do your mindfulness sessions as often as you can. You can comment on the YouTube, and I will answer them there. We'll moderate that. In addition, you could always email if you have questions or you want to know more. And I would encourage you to check out the website that Sonia's posted for SCI&U .ca, because we do have a wonderful coaching program for people with spinal cord injury that is part of what we're also connected to by offering this. So yeah, feel free to really look into any of those resources. They're there for you. And we'll see you next week.